So before we dive into the details, I want to share with you a little bit of what got me interested in human design and why I fell in love with it. It really happened during the quarantine when I had time to actually sit down and learn something new. But I want to tell you why I really loved it. When I learned about my chart and what my design was, I understood a lot of things about my personality. I was blown away that I just put a little bit of information into a system and it described me so perfectly. And things that I always judged about myself, remember about being hard on ourselves, so many things I always judged about myself, it suddenly became a reality that that's just the way I am. So I don't know if that will benefit everybody, but for me, it helped me in my journey of self-acceptance. There is nothing wrong with me. There is nothing wrong with who I am. And that was very, very reassuring, especially during a time like last year. Also, it gave me a little bit more of an action plan when it came to how to make decisions. And at the end, I'm going to share with you how I used my human design to even create this class, be here with you, and even create this presentation. Like everything about this whole experience was done based on my specific design. And like I mentioned, it brought acceptance and it's just fun. And this year, one of the things that I want to focus on the most is to keep things simple, real, and fun. Because of that same thing of being so hard on myself that I'm like, no more, I'm ready to do things differently. So together with meditation, with everything else that I practice individually, I find that human design is helping me be more aware of how to make decisions from alignment. And then it's almost like when I decide something, I feel I can flow with it and relax. And before, I used to feel like I made a decision, and then while I am making that happen, I used to be very, like I mentioned, afraid and doubtful. And that's not the case for me anymore. I'm practicing every day, but things are changing. So I am grateful for this information. So where do we start? First, let's start here with what is human design? So first, I want to explain to you what human design is not. Many people confuse human design with simply it being your horoscope. Because you do need to use your date of birth in order to get your chart. People say, oh, you're talking about a horoscope. And it's not your horoscope. It does use astrology, but it's not based 100% on your horoscope. It's not just a tool to know your personality. Many people go, well, it's not your horoscope, but it's just something that's going to tell you about your personality, and that's it. It's not just that, because it also teaches you how to work on yourself and be better. And for me, at least, this is an opinion, not a fact, but it's not just another fluffy new technique that somebody just came up with out of the blue. The foundation of human design is rooted in a lot of modern and ancient science, and that is why it makes so much sense when you learn the whole practice altogether. Now, let me tell you a little bit about the history of human design. And before I share about the history of human design, I will say that what this reminds me of, it's how Reiki, for any of you that know about Reiki, any of you that know about energy work, specifically the technique of Reiki, in the same way that Reiki was born, I feel that this technique was born. So in January 1987, Ra Uru Hu, which his, we can say, social name was Alan, he had a mystical experience where he received a transmission of information that lasted 8 days, which is now known as the human design system. So we have this gentleman, right, that has this experience, and suddenly this whole system feels as if it comes to him and it's there. I will tell you that if I would have heard this information just maybe like you are right now, before knowing about the technique and how it works and how accurate it is, I would be like, oh no, this guy just made this up and that is all. But when you begin to experience how accurate it can read an individual and help an individual, you realize that it's amazing that the download only happened in 8 days. 8 days is nothing for how in depth this whole thing goes. So that is an amazing thing. So Ra Uruhu is no longer physically here with us. His body has transcended in 2011, but his teachings of human design are just growing, evolving, and continuing. So many people now are using human design in the world of personal development, coaching, into how to attract and even create a business out of alignment with who you are instead of what other people are expecting you to do. So it's only something that I really feel with time will become very known and normal to talk about. Now, human design helps us to actually have more self-awareness because it's learning to help you understand yourself. It also teaches us how to unlearn conditioning that naturally limit us. Many of us, what we call our limitations, is actually just conditioning, which means it's something that we have picked up from our environment, that it's not fundamentally ours. But we have taken it and we've made an identity out of it. And then now we live stuck with that conditioning. So human design helps you identify where you possibly may have that conditioning so you can more easily work directly in that area. And like I've been talking about, human design helps you make decisions out of alignment with yourself. And you're gonna hear me say alignment a lot. So let me take a moment to express what at least that means to me. Making decisions from alignment means that you are using your energy wisely. When you say yes to something that you don't want to do, you drain your energy and it ends up affecting possibly your physical health, and if not, your emotional and mental health. When you say yes to something that you are very aligned to, all of your energy is ready to make it happen. It's not that the choice, one of them is right and the other one is wrong. It's more about, does it flow and make sense to you? So that is what I'm going to be referring to when I say alignment. Now, like I mentioned earlier, human design uses 5 different practices, a combination of ancient and modern science. So it uses different modalities like the I-ching, Kabbalah, the Hindu Brahim chakra system, astrology, and quantum mechanics. So all of these systems on their own are something. If you just wanted to study astrology, that is all. You could spend your whole life trying to discover astrology. If you just wanted to study Kabbalah, it's so deep in the roots of what you can learn when you study Kabbalah. If you would just study about quantum mechanics or the I-ching system or the chakras, everything is so deep. The beauty about human design is that it brings it all together. Isn't that amazing? For me, this was so amazing and so inspiring. This is one of the things that I think I love the most. Now, because it is a lot of information, it is known in the world of human design that it's very common that people get something that we call information overload. It's so much information. Like you even like when you go and get your chart and you're like, whoa, 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 what's all of this? That the amount of information being so much and so deep is one of the things, ironically, that turns people off. And they're like, whoa, whoa, that's too much for me. I don't even get it. Like, what does this all mean? So I want you to know that this should never be overwhelming. It should not overwhelm you and it should not limit you. It should help you feel more open. It should help you feel excited and a sense of freedom, and hopeful that Even though it tells you a lot about yourself, the foundation of human design is that you can always be transformed. So it's never to read it and be like, oh, so if it says this, this is what I'm supposed to be. No, it's how can you use that to grow. So as a result, you will be more aware of yourself. Now, I love this quote about from Tiffany from Human Design with Tiffany, and it says, "We don't study human design to learn how to be ourselves, but mainly to unlearn all of the conditioning that causes us to believe that we've ever had to be anyone but ourselves in the first place." And I love this because especially, for example, even this person that is right here, right now in front of you, if many of you have known me throughout the years, the person I was 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, it has nothing to do with who I am today. And the same thing for you. We are not even the people that we were when 2020 started. And we have to be open to know that we can consistently be transformed, that the true essence of who we are sometimes is hiding beneath everything that we are experiencing. So for me, that is the beauty of trying to discover who is it that's underneath all of that conditioning. So let's move to the next thing, which is, how does human design work? So the first thing that you need to know, in order for you to get into understanding your unique personal chart, you are going to need this basic information: your date of birth, your time of birth, and your place of birth. I know that usually with, for example, with horoscopes, you don't need your time of birth. And if it's a little off, like, who cares? Now, with human design, the more accurate you are with your time of birth, and I'm talking minutes if possible, the better. I didn't know my time of birth when I started learning about human design. And I called my mom, right? And I was like, hey, mom, random question. What time was I born? And she's like, oh, I think you were born around 1. So I created my chart and I put around 1. And then I read more about the importance of being as specific as possible. So I actually went to look for my birth certificate and I found the time, and it ended up being 1209, very close. So my mom wasn't too far off, but certain things change. Now, if you don't have it, don't stress about it. It shouldn't be something that stresses you out. But if you are able to figure it out, the closest to the accurate time, it's important. And hey, at the end of the day, we don't even know if what's on our birth certificate is the right time, right? But that is something, that is all that you're going to need in order to get your own chart. Now, like I mentioned, this class is not to become experts on like human design. It's mainly to begin to understand it. So I'm not going to go into explaining everything about the chart, but the basic information. So if you want to, as soon as we finish this class, you can go and try to go and get your chart, and you can begin learning about yourself and at least know what certain things mean. So when you get your chart, it's going to look a little bit like the one that has the yellow at the top, but on the sides, it's actually going to have some symbols and some numbers, which are only referring to the different planets and where exactly each planet was the moment you were born. Those things are going to be useful when you want to learn more about your personality, but I wouldn't invite you to start using human design there. First, we're going to start with this. So first things first, there's something in human design that is called the centers. There are 9 centers in human design. So the centers are what you can see that are like squares and triangles. And then the centers also can either be open, which means they are white, like most of them here, or the centers can be defined. If a center is defined, then it will have a color like the yellow one, okay? It may not be yellow. It may be brown or red or whatever the color. But if it has a color, that center is defined. And what that means is that that is one of your natural strengths. If the center is white and it looks like anything pretty much here, then it means that that center is open. And when a center is open, It's a place of opportunity for you to grow because that place is very receptible to conditioning, meaning conditioning of society, of the world, of your family, of your culture. So that is the place that you really want to give attention to begin to work on. So when you get your chart, you may have a lot of white centers, or you may have just a few. So that is something that is going to be interesting to learn. Now, every center has little numbers inside, and those numbers are what we call the gates. And the gates, when they are activated, they light up one of those little channels that look like a little tunnel kind of thing. And when you see your chart, it may have a color. And if it has a color and you're like, why does this have a color? It's because one of those numbers in your gate was activated. And if the question is, why was it activated? Because of the placement of how everything was the moment you were born. Okay? So that is all I want to tell you on the specifics of the chart. Now, the way the centers are either defined or open, the channels and the gates help us discover the foundation of your chart, which is what I like to call the big three inside human design. When you want to use human design for personal development, you want to learn to master these three things: your type, your authority, and your strategy. So working on this you're not even going to start looking at your gate and your personality, nothing like that. This is simply based, and this information will be given to you. So you don't have to figure it out. The moment you put your information, is going to say your type is this, your authority is this, and your strategy is this. Yeah, so that is what I'm going to invite you to lean into. Now, the type is what it will tell you. It will tell you about what is your natural way to get things to happen in life. So depending on your type, that is your natural energy, your natural essence on how you can be very successful at making things happen. Now, for example, there are many different types. I don't want to confuse you too much with them, but for example, the generators, it's a type inside human design. They are really good at making things happen in life. And especially manifesting generators like to do things at their own rhythm. So imagine somebody that likes to do things at their own rhythm, living in a society that tells them you have to do things like this. You have to first go to school and graduate from college and then get married and then have kids and then don't mess up your life and then don't get in debt and then this and that and that. It's so easy, for example, for a manifesting generator to be overwhelmed and feel that they are living in a world that doesn't understand them. And when you learn that, then it becomes your responsibility to create a life that flows with that natural way of how you are built. So that is just one example of one of the types. There are 5 different types in human design. So the moment you get your chart, you're going to figure out what your type is. Then we have the strategy. So the strategy, it works hand by hand with your authority. If the authority tells you how to do things, the authority, which I'm about to tell you about, it tells you how to make decisions in life. The strategy tells you when. So for example, I already decided that it's a yes, I'm going to start my own business. For some people, it means start working on it right now. For other people, the strategy may guide you to wait. Wait until the right timing. Wait until the right invitation or opportunity. So this is so cool because learning your strategy will tell you more about when to move forward when you already made a decision from alignment. Next, we have the authority. So the authority is what I like to call your decision-making mechanism. So learning your authority, this is the one that has been like a big life changer for me. Even though, of course, I try my best to follow my type and use it, to learn how to move. But the authority is the one that will when you learn your authority and what it means, which I'm about to teach you, it's easier to know how to move forward to make those decisions. So just to recap, I'm gonna go quick back a little bit. Your type is your natural way of moving in the world, your authority, how to make decisions, and your strategy, when to make decisions. So can you see when I told you earlier, for those of us that maybe one day said, I wish there was a blueprint, right? I wish there was a blueprint that would guide me towards being more connected with myself to make decisions. This could be considered one. Yes? Okay, good, good, good. So let me have a little bit of tea. Let me see if anybody else is here. Letty, hello, Letty, Michelle. Oh my God, this feels like a reunion because I love all of you. Caressa, hi, Caressa. I love it. Monica, hi, hi, hi. This is good. And I see there's questions there. So make sure to leave the questions there. If some of the questions come up, I will go ahead and answer them at the end. But remember, ask your question as we are going. And I really have to check in with myself when I am doing presentations, because if any of you know me, you know I get so excited and I just wish like you were in my brain and I could just like give you everything. So sometimes I feel that I cannot speak as fast as my brain is moving. But anyways, let's move to step 3 of what we want to learn today, which is just about decision making. So this, I just want to talk for a moment about the importance of making decisions from a place of alignment. All of our decisions, even your decision to be here right now, you could have been doing something else. I'm happy you're here. I know I can't see you, but I feel all of your energy. But you could have been doing something else. You decided to show up to this class today. So I want you to see how our decisions affect everything in our life. It affects our health. It affects our relationships. It affects our finances. It affects our quality of life. So many people may look at this like, okay, we all know how to make decisions, right? Like why do I want to go to a class that could teach me that? And of course, you know how to make decisions. You've made it this far in your life. But like I mentioned before, maybe some of you watching this will gain a lot about human design, but you're really good already at making decisions from a place of alignment. Maybe you've already learned that in your life. But if you are in a place, like I mentioned, that I was, where I was always doubtful, and what happened with me is that I could have a great opportunity or a great idea, but the moment I got doubtful, I didn't give it my all. And guess what happened? I would either fail or just create something mediocre because my energy wasn't there. And now that I look back and I say, why? It was just out of me holding myself back. So I want you to understand the importance of making decisions. We all of us here have made, and I want you to even think about it, that one decision that you know that you made and it changed everything in your life. It created even like a before and after, right? If it was a book, maybe it would be the title, or it would be like one of those main like chunky chapters. We all have done it. And this is beautiful because right now, even with this energy of the new year, you have the gift right now to make decisions in your life that are going to create the life or the year or the day that you want. And that is amazing. So my question to you is, do you trust your decisions? Is anybody here? And if that's you, I would love if you would have like the courage to put it in the comments. Is anybody here watching this class? You decided it, you're here, but maybe you're still doubting if you should be here, right? Like, oh, should I just go and like go play with the kids, or should I just go and like finish the dishes? Why am I here on Facebook, right? If anybody's experiencing that, I would love for you to have the honesty to accept it, where we make a decision, but we're like, I kind of decided. When you're here, you've decided, and you can decide to leave. You know, you're empowered. It's only owning it. Can you own that you're here, or can you own that you may possibly want to leave? So just ask yourself that question. Do you trust your decisions? And one thing that is important about decisions and why sometimes we don't trust them, it's because decisions teach us about self-responsibility. Hmm. Let me see. Let me see. Jessica says, no, I don't trust all of my decisions. Hello, Sylvie. Hello, Adriana. And I'm there with you. And it's not realistic to say every single decision that I make, I trust. There may be some that are like, I trust what I want for breakfast, right? But maybe if it's about buying a house or starting a new job, it may be a little bit more difficult. So yes. Letty says, I don't know my time of birth, so now I am doubting. Yes. And then Monica says she's a multitasker. Oh my God, Monica, I am a multitasker too, which I don't know if you know your type yet, Monica, or if you've ever learned your human design. But a lot of us that are multitaskers, we fall under the manifesting generators. So maybe that may be you as well, Monica. And I had to accept that I am a multitasker and I do all these things at once and that it's okay. Because I used to be so hard on myself about it. But anyways, I wanted to use that as an example of how decisions teach us about self-responsibility. So why do we want to, well, what are some reasons why we may not trust our decisions? Sometimes, just like Letty said, maybe we just don't know. It's like, I really don't know. Other times it's because we feel overwhelmed making the decision. So that feeling of being overwhelmed is what may block us. And sometimes we just don't want to take responsibility because responsibility means that maybe we feel pretty much the other two. We feel that maybe overwhelmed and we feel like maybe I may not know how to do it. But if you experience any of this, know that you are normal and you are human. I would be more surprised if somebody would say, I never, ever have doubted a decision. That would be more shocking. I would be like, please teach me. So yes. So just imagine that you could know a unique formula on how to make decisions from a place of alignment and a place of peace, because that is what human design teaches us. So I wanted to put that emoji because that was me when I learned about my chart and I was like, oh, I can do this. So that that's me. So that is what human design does for us. So I want to remind you, taking responsibility for our decisions, what does it do? It empowers us. It helps us get out of our victim mentality. The moment I take responsibility, I will do whatever needs to be done to be there with the experience. The moment I take responsibility that I decided to come and watch this class, I own it. And if I didn't do the dishes during the class, I'll do them after. Can you see it becomes like more simple? Um, Also, it helps us to feel more at ease because we are in charge. When we are depending on energies outside of ourselves to find peace with our decisions, we don't feel in charge. We feel everything else we described, doubtful, uncertain, overwhelmed. The moment we decide, and it's so interesting because nothing changes, it's only your state of being, you become empowered and more energy is available for you to create changes. So I just wanted to talk about the importance of making decisions from a conscious place, from an empowered place, and knowing that it's okay to be doubtful and then still be able to make decisions. It's okay if I feel afraid. It's okay if there is doubt. But then that is why we want to learn, I'm going to apply my unique way of feeling more at ease making decisions. So let's talk about the authority. So like I mentioned before, the authority is the decision-making mechanism and also what many people call our intuitive signature. You know how people give advice, and most likely I've given this advice, because I see myself. I cannot tell you when, but I see that I probably gave this advice. When people tell you, just follow your gut, just follow your heart, right? Just don't think about it, just decide, or just sleep on it. All of that for human design is great advice for specific groups, not for everybody. So for somebody that different types of authority do require us for us to follow our gut, and different types of authorities require us to follow our heart. But if that's not you, that advice feels ridiculous. It feels like, what? Like, how? Like, what are you talking about? So it's not a general thing to assume that we all will make decisions in the same way. And before we continue, I do want to make note that I'm about to teach you about the 3 top and most common authorities inside human design. And I am well aware that many of you here, you yet don't have your chart. The next step, I'm going to teach you how to go get it. And when you do, you can come back to this video and come back and listen to the area where your authority is. So then right now it may kind of make sense, but afterwards it will make more sense. So there are actually 7 different authorities inside human design. Just think about it, 7 different ones. It's so much information that I decided to only teach you the top 3. And this is where the majority of the population actually falls into. So 47% of the population, 47%, is what we call an emotional solar plexus authority, which I'm about to explain to you what that means. We're talking about the majority of people. So that is a big one. Then we have what we call the sacral authority, and that is 35% of the population. And then we have the splenic authority, which is 11%. Now, the other authorities that are not here and that are missing even have less and less percent. There's one of the authorities that only has 1% of the population, which many people in human design, it's the reflectors, and people inside the world of human design calls them the unicorns of human design, because it's so rare to find people that are reflectors and have that type of authority. So it's even most important for them to try to understand themselves, because they're living in a world where everybody feels different than them. So yes, but we're going to learn about the top 3. Let's start with the emotional authority. So the emotional authority is for those that have an emotional authority. You let your emotions tint your vision. You let your emotions make decisions for you. When you are happy and when you're in a high, like, oh my God, everything's so good. I'm going to go and I'm going to purchase all of the equipment to start working out. Oh my God, I'm so happy. And you don't think objectively. You don't think that maybe your knees hurt and you cannot work out right now. You're not thinking. Your emotion, because you're in a high, makes a decision for you. Or you also make decisions when you're in a low. When you're feeling very low, you go and end that relationship. You go and decide to quit your job. You go and decide to whatever, like whatever it may be. So what happens is that a lot of people that have the emotional authority end up feeling a lot of the times like, oh my God, why did I do that? Like, why did I make that decision? Because it didn't feel like it was aligned with your core. So one of the solutions or the invitations for anybody that has an emotional authority is to find what we call your neutral space. It's the key here, and the kind of rule of thumb for the emotional authorities is to sleep on it. For you, that one works. If you are on a high, use your energy to invest into whatever is going on in your life, but don't make decisions. If you are in a low, take some time to rest, but don't make decisions. Sleep on it, and then when you are in a neutral space emotionally, you will be able to make decisions from a place of objectivity, which is very important. So for those of you that are, and then later, if you get your chart, I want you to come back and share here with you what is your authority, so I can know. I would love to know, and then maybe even give you more tips about it. So that is the emotional authority. Then we have what we call the sacral authority. So when you have a sacral authority, you need to learn to recognize your gut feeling and your motivations. This is so important for anybody with a sacral authority. You want to practice, how does it feel in your body? And even like pay attention to the sensations in your body, and pay attention to the even the sounds. I know that sounds weird, but the sounds your body makes when you are not thinking. For example, when somebody goes like, "Hey, do you want eggs for breakfast?" Ugh. What does ugh mean? That's a no. "Hey, do you want donuts for breakfast?" Yummy. That's a yes. A lot of the times, our body, our energy is responding for us, and especially for those of us, because just to tell you, I have a sacral authority. So does it feel, for me, does it feel good to do a class about a human design? And it was like, So then we're here, right? So I have a sacral authority, and it's important to practice yes and no questions. So if you wake up in the morning, start with that. Do I want eggs this morning? That's a no. Do I want a smoothie? Do I want oatmeal? Yeah. And start with little things, even though it may seem ridiculous. But the more we practice a sacral authority with the little things, we begin to master the feeling of learning to tap into our intuition. So then when we need to make decisions for the big things, are we going to end that relationship? Are we going to start that relationship? Are we going to buy the house? Are we going to move to another city? Those are big decisions that the noise in our mind, or the centers that we have open, remember the centers that you may have open that have conditioning, may create a lot of noise. So the more you practice with the little things, the easier it will be to decide for the big things. And lastly, we have what we call the splenic authority. This is 11% of the population. So the splenic authority is very similar like the sacral authority. You follow your gut feelings. So what happens with people with a splenic authority is like when they want to make a decision, for example, they may get a yes. It feels like, yes, I want to do it. And right away like this, fear begins to come up. So it's a subtle yes followed by fear. So for a lot of us, maybe the sacral authority, we may say yes, and our energy is there, and we start working on it, and we're like, I decided, it's a yes. For many people with the splenic authority, it's easier for you to always go to a feeling of fear. So what I would recommend is that you need to learn to recognize your gut feeling, and then learn to observe the fear. When we are going to do something new, let's imagine you have a splenic authority and you decided you're going to buy that house, and it's the first home you're going to buy. You've never gotten a loan, let's say that size before, but it feels like a yes. You're ready. You've been working hard. It's the right time for you to buy the house, and you say yes, and suddenly the wave of fear. Sometimes the fear is based on the fact that you're not being objective with your decision. Maybe you don't have the money. Maybe you don't have a job. So maybe it wouldn't be wise to get a loan that size or something. I don't know, right? But what if it's simply that you made a decision and now you're going to expand outside of your comfort zone? So it's not fear what you're feeling. You're feeling excitement, even chemically in the body. The way the chemistry in our body moves when we're experiencing fear and when we're experiencing anticipation and excitement is very similar if you look like at the chemistry of it. So you need to learn to identify the difference between fear and excitement. Yes, that is going to be for my splenic authority people. Woo, that was a lot of information, guys. We're almost there. Thank you for sticking with me. Take a deep breath with me because I know it's a lot. So Jessica is saying, how do we get our chart? So that's a really, really good question. And I think many of you may be wondering this. So Georgina says she's a sacral authority. Georgina, virtual high five. I'm a sacral authority too. Mandy says she's an emotional authority. So Mandy, you know, it's so important for you to sleep on things and not allow your emotions to make decisions for you, okay? So that is very important. Um, let's see. Good, good, good. Mandy is also a manifesting generator, so a high five for Mandy because I'm a manifesting generator myself. It's so fun to learn about other when you start learning more about human design. And the reason why I decided to learn it is because one of my biggest goals is from now moving forward. Anytime I work with a client, if they are open to for us to work on human design together with the work that we're doing, because it delivers so much deeper results. I have been using that recently and it's just amazing. So to answer the question that, let's see, I think Jessica had, I think it was Jessica. To answer the question, first, well, to answer the question of where to get your chart, that is our next slide. So we're getting there. But I want to say one thing that is very important. Everything that I am saying here right now is just information that means nothing. It's actually just weird sounds. For people that don't speak English, this is just like weird sounds and it means zero, nothing unless you put it into practice. And I hope that if you start falling in love with human design like I did, that you don't fall into the information overload when where you learn more than you are applying. Take it slow. Learn a little bit, apply it in your life. Learn a little more, apply it in your life. Then it becomes transformational. So here it is, Jessica. So I think this one is for you. So where do I get my chart? So I wish I had like a special place that I could do that. That is not my forte. That is not what I do. But I want to share with you two different places that I use to get a chart. And this is the part where you may want to either take a screenshot on your phone, take a picture with your phone if you're on a computer, or get a pen and pencil and write it down. I'm not telling you they're the best because to be honest, I'm not knowledgeable on all of the systems out there where you can get it, but they are the ones that are the most simple. I want to tell you that even the one with the jovianarchive.com, it's the most simple of them all. And they both give you your basic chart for free. So if you would tell me, not because I'm an expert on what they do in those websites, not because I promote their products, not because they're bad, but just because I don't know about their products. So I'm not telling you to go spend money with them if they sell you something, or they sell a service online. But if you go to jovianarchives.com and you go to get my chart, you simply put your date of birth, you put your time of birth, you put your city or place of birth, and it gives you the information like this right away without even having to enter your email, which that's a big thing right now. And then it just gives you a button that says download, and you can download the whole image with all of your details. So some of you may feel like you want to right now leave and go do that. I will ask you to just stay with me. We're about to be done. Don't leave, because I want to share with you a little bit more about the giveaway and what we're doing. But those are going to be the places where you are going to be able to get your chart. So now you go and you get your chart and you go, what is this? So do not get overwhelmed with the amount of information that you may get. That's why that second option that I told you, it's the most simple. It's not going to explain everything that it has to do with your personality and the planets. So it keeps it simple. So I think that would be a good choice. Next, focus on your type, your strategy, and your authority. I know I didn't go deeper into teaching you about the types and strategy because then we would be here for hours, but at least you will know. I'm pretty sure most of you will fall under the three basic the three basic authorities that I shared with you, and you can start practicing that. You can start there. If you want to, like I said, you can come back to this class and just fast forward to where I was talking about the authority that you are, and then you can kind of listen to the information again so it can make more sense, and then put it into practice. all of us, right after we finish this class, we're going to face a decision. It could be anything. Should I jump in the shower? Should I go get a snack? Should I lay with the kids and watch TV? Should I start cleaning? And it shouldn't be dramatic or overwhelming, but you can practice, right? If you are a sacral, for example, Georgina, if you're a sacral like me, it's like, ask yourself, do I want to go right now and jump in the shower? Yeah, how refreshing. Then we go into the shower. Do I need to, for example, finish something? Sometimes we may get that, I don't want to go to work, but then we understand it's something that supports my life and what I want to build. So it's a yes. It's a yes. I want to continue to pay rent. So it's for sure a yes. And we can practice it that way as well. So let me see. Jessica says that she found the chart, and Jessica is a manifesting generator as well. This is awesome. And then we have Beatriz. Beatriz says that, I mean, this is interesting, Beatriz, because she says that her birth certificate says it's 12:05 when she was born, which is pretty close to when I was born, but that her mom says that it was 9 a.m. What I would do, Beatriz, in that situation is maybe get both and see if anything changes. Maybe even in that second page that I told you, go there and put the 12:05 and then do it again for 9 a.m. and see if anything changes. Maybe it doesn't. And then you can, even when you start going deeper into learning about your personality and your channel and all of that, your gates and all of that, you can see both and see which one feels more accurate to your personality. That's what I would recommend. Good. Guys, and I want you to know that I do have my assistant that's part of here, and she's answering the questions because I realize I'm answering there. So maybe you think that I have like a telepathy thing that I'm like doing both things. It is us as a teamwork. So she's there. So thank you so much, Ashley. Thank you. Monica says she's a generator. Awesome. So a lot of generators, either manifesting generators or generators. Sonia's a generator. This is so cool. Amazing. And I know Ashley already posted also the links in the comments, so you can just click and go there. This is good. This is so exciting. We're learning so much. So I know that just knowing your type, I wish I would have also taught about the type, but anyways, you have the opportunity to learn more about it. I'm gonna keep going because I'm getting distracted and excited. So let's see. Oh, and this is the slide that I made to make sure that if any of you haven't yet gotten your chart and you are waiting, when you do, come back to the video and share with us what you are. What you are, so that way I can read it. And then Mel says like that she thought like, wow, why is she answering so fast? That is so funny because I hadn't even noticed. I'm like, oh, I'm answering. This is so great. Wouldn't it be nice that life was just like that simple? It's like, I'm here and I'm there. But anyways, I'm going to keep going, keep moving. So yes. So let's take a moment to recap everything we just learned. It may seem like a little bit and like this. And we have a notification. Okay. We also learned that the three main important aspects are the type, the strategy, and the authority. These are the areas that you want to focus on first. We learned how knowing our authority helps us make decisions and the importance of making decisions. We also learned a little bit about the basic main authorities, which are emotional, sacral, and splenic. And most of you probably got one of those authorities. So that's important. If you didn't get the emotional, sacral, and splenic, if you already got your chart, let me know because it would be also interesting and I can share some resources about the other ones. And you also learn where to get your unique chart. So even right now, after we finish this class, all of you, if not the majority of you or 99% of you, will be able to put something into practice. And that is awesome and amazing. The perfect energy to begin this new year. So I want to share with you some of the things that I use my human design chart for, and especially this new year. When it came to planning my personal and business goals for this year, I've been following my authority and I've been following my type and my strategy. and things feel good. It feels so good. That's why I'm not just saying I'm excited, guys. I'm genuinely very happy right now because I feel so much less stressed that I've ever felt before simply by applying this. All of my next courses and classes I am teaching, including this one, I decided it based on my human design, how I react emotionally in my relationships. I've really been applying my authority to be able to be more aligned with my energy in my relationships. And I added this one because it's so true. Even the colors for this presentation, I was like practicing my sacral. I'm like, does this color, do I like the way it feels? Mm-mm. Do I like this one? Mm-hmm. And that's how we ended up with like this whole scheme of like more earthy colors. And this is for me, when I follow my authority, I feel more at peace with making decisions. Because for me, for example, and I shared this recently, normally at the beginning of the year, I host an event in person with my business partner, Christian, and we've done it for 4 years. Well, this month would have been the 5th year. And we said we were going to do it and do it every year and just let it grow. And we could have tried to force it and done something, or maybe a very small group, or maybe outdoors, or maybe online. But at least for me, I cannot speak for him, but at least for me, the feeling was mm-mm. And my mind said, what? We have to. We made like a commitment with ourselves and we have to put it out there. But it felt like a no. Then the moment I thought, should I teach about human design because I'm so obsessed with it and so excited? And it was my body and everything. It was a clear yes, let's do it. And now we're here and it feels good. And I feel at peace with that decision because it feels aligned with my energy right now. I feel more connected to myself when I make decisions. And that helps me feel more connected with the people around me. And I also feel like I am caring for me, like I am caring for myself.